everybody, my name is Pen Clicking Jen. Today I'm going to be reviewing Shadow Scale by Rachel Hartman. I'm just going to start off by saying that on Bookreads I gave this a 5-star rating because I love this book so much. I can't decide if I love the first book, Seraphina, or this book more because they're just both so amazing and beautiful and I love them. That's my review. Enjoy. Bye. But in all seriousness, I just finished the book today and I was reading through some Goodreads book reviews by users and I thought I was going to get better reviews than I did. Like, I fell in love with this book and it's fine if people don't enjoy it, but I was just surprised. First of all, that's a dragon. Need I say more? Yeah. And the idea of dragons trying to be like, you know, human and with human emotions and stuff, it's absolutely hilarious to read. In this sequel, Seraphina, the character that we've come to love and admire very much from the first book called Seraphina. The character's a little bit like egotistical, you know. In this book, Seraphina ends up going on the typical fantasy journey. Collecting people and learning about people, meeting people, collecting people. That's a way to put it. Yep, she collects people. Alive. And there are villains, there is war, there is amazing world building, the writing itself is fantastic and you just get caught up reading it and then all of a sudden you're like, oh hey, wow, it's been like 2 hours and I still need to do things. Whoops. Some people have said that this book is very slow paced and they didn't really enjoy that. I personally didn't mind it. There are parts where, yeah, it was slow, but I still enjoyed reading it. The writing style makes it enjoyable. The slowness of it kind of made me fall in love with the characters more, if that makes sense. And there are parts that it sped up. I mean, there's a war in this thing. Like, there's flying dragons in this. Some people also said that they thought Seraphina was a bit more naive in this book than they had thought her to be. She's a 15, 16-year-old, so she's pretty young. She's still learning about herself. She's a teenager. We all remember those years as not being the funnest of times, and you're kind of like, ah. That's my description of teenagerhood. Yeah, and she is thrust into this huge responsibility. The previous book was very much so about her coming to herself as a person. Yeah, she was coming to terms with being a half dragon and how society would react to her being such, and she, you know, learning that she does have talent, that she is able to contribute to society, and that dragons aren't bad, humans aren't bad, they're just dealing with life. And this was a continuation of that, but with more dramatic elements such as a war going on and disagreements between humans and dragons that we saw starting to build in the first book, and this is really being continued forth in this one. Yes, she can be a bit naive, but she's a mid-aged teenager, which lots of protagonists in fantasy books are. She carries herself very well, I thought. She tried to think through things somewhat logically, but also conflicting with human emotions. And I think that she came to a new version of herself that was very good by the end. Another thing that some people weren't exactly happy with how it played out was the romance that was starting to bloom between the prince and Seraphina in the first book, because they're separated much of the time, but I thought it was played out very well. It wasn't forced upon me, which I personally like. I don't like it when books are solely about romance, which if I want to read a romance book, I'll read a romance book, but if I want to read a fantasy book, I want to read a fantasy book. I don't want to read a fantasy book that's basically a romance book. Like, no, okay? Label yourself as romance then, not fantasy. This is fantasy. This is not romance. Learn genres, please. This book also brings up a few issues that I am very passionate about, and I am absolutely like, I want to hug the author because of this, and she lives nearby, and I'm like, book signing, I would hug her. Like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, besties. Yeah, she brings up these issues in a very fluid way that fits the story. It's not, you know, standing out too much. These issues fit in well with the story, and they flow well, they fit the characters, and some of them, at least one thing, I was guessing, and I was like, hey, I knew that was gonna be a thing. I knew it. I sensed it. Please check it out if you haven't. It's been a very long anticipated sequel, so I understand if some people are disappointed with it. This is going to be a reread series for me. I'm not usually a fan of dragon books, so this made me fall in love with dragons, and I might actually check out a few more dragon books in the future. That's about all I have to say in this video, so you can like, comment, subscribe, share, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Oh, but before I go, I also wanted to say that, remind you guys that I now have a Twitter account and a Goodreads account, and I just got an Instagram account, all under the name Pen Clicking Jen. You can follow me on those other platforms if you like. If you don't want to, that's fine too. If you hate me, well, there's 7 billion people in the world, so you know, that's fine, I guess. Yeah, other than that, keep reading, keep writing. I love you all. Bye!